I'm Wes Snow, President and CEO of Ascendix Technologies, a CRM product and consulting services partner in the commercial real estate space. We're a certified consulting partner for brands like Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and worked with countless other CRM tools over 26-year history. We spent the last 16 years devoted to working with commercial real estate brokerages across the globe, including tenant rep, landlord rep, and investment sales brokerages, as well as capital markets firms, or what might also be referred to as commercial mortgage brokerages, which is the focus of our discussion. Today, we are facilitating a discussion with Revel Stark, the Director of Business Development at Innovative Capital Commercial, about some of the work we've done with them on this technology front. Hello, Revel.
Good afternoon, Wes.
How about we have you introduce yourself formally and in the firm, Innovative Capital, and just get started that way.
Yeah, my name is Revel Stark. I'm with Innovative Capital. We specialize in commercial lending and leverage everything from private money to institutional capital in order to provide our clients really the right loan for their business. So when you're working with us, you're gaining the knowledge that we have amongst our team, which a lot of us are previous commercial bankers that really wanted to provide more options to their clients and more solutions. You're also leveraging our network of lenders, our volume of business that we introduce to those lenders, and the technology that we've built with Ascendix to really provide our clients a better lending solution.
So you probably partially answered this question in those opening remarks, but obviously this is about technology in the commercial real estate sector. And if you don't mind, maybe more acutely defining some of the fundamental issues and results that you were hoping to address or achieve by leveraging technology, that would be helpful for the audience, just kind of knowing where we started, and we'll talk about where we ended up.
Yeah, when we started this process, we looked at really the pain points that we were experiencing as an organization. And as a commercial lending broker, I mean, ultimately, we're helping people that are looking for capital and introducing to the people that have the capital. And the better that we can serve the borrower and the lender, we're doing our job. So ultimately, in the beginning of it was like, well, hey, how do we house all this information of our lenders and our borrowers? Well, we obviously need a CRM to do that. Right? How do we continuously market to our clients so that they remember that we exist and we don't talk to them one day, then the next day they forget that we're an organization, or forget that we can provide solutions to help them, right? So obviously the answer is we needed a robust CRM. So we started shopping around for the different CRMs, and we were recommended to really take a hard look at Salesforce. Now, Salesforce isn't the most cost-effective option. But in the world of fintech, it's definitely one of the best, if not the best. The ecosystem around Salesforce is very robust, and really it comes down to the challenge of connecting all those technology solutions within your tech stack so they work well, for not only your internal team, but also anyone engaging that system. So everything from our marketing strategy to bringing in our clients and all their loan documents, their loan application. Everything is built in one system so that we can create efficiency within that system and ultimately speed. And obviously, anyone that's looking for money would like to have that money, sooner than later, of course.
Excellent. Thank you. There was a comment about marketing, and I do want to get back to that. But before I do, we've been doing this for 26 years, and there's always this measurement stick of, if we're going to invest this in technology, what's the return on investment? And it's candidly been a very elusive goal for many to achieve. In your opinion, and perhaps in your experience, what do you think needs to be in place in order to maximize the chances of getting a solid return on investment on this technology?
It's definitely a challenge. First, when you're building the technology, you're telling the software what do you want it to do, right? And we're working hand in hand with Ascendix to ultimately create strategies within software to serve our loan officers and help them achieve more bandwidth so that they can take on more clients, they can do more loans, and ultimately drive more revenue. So one of the biggest challenges that we have is really not only creating the tech, right, which that seems to be an easier challenge at this point in time, but one of the harder challenges is to get your team to adopt the tech so that they can ultimately achieve that return on investment that you're looking for. So in our personal scenario, we have leads being developed through our marketing efforts, and then we're handing those leads over to our sales teams. And now we've identified the new challenge, which is, hey, how do we process these leads most effectively? How do we engage these new referral partners or borrower contacts, and ultimately move them through a process of A, achieving that they know we exist, B, achieving that they understand our value proposition, right? And then gaining their trust over time so that they refer us business or they come to us to serve a loan request that they have, so that we can hopefully really impress them through that process, and they want to not only come back and do it again with us, but also bring some friends, bring some referrals. So it's really the adoption of taking new strategies and marrying it to people that have ultimately run a race one specific way. In the past, they're used to running the race on their own 2 feet, and you're giving them ultimately, for example, an e-bike, right, where they can run it faster and more easily, and smell the roses along the way, if you will, as they're cruising around on an e-bike. So it's breaking down those concepts to them, and hopefully having really a growth mindset so they pick up the tech and start utilizing it to achieve that return on investment.
Yeah. Married to that, and maybe going off script here a little bit, I think one of the lessons that we've learned doing this for years is that if anything, we're in the change management business. There are analog and very manual ways in which people are doing business today, and then we're trying to make them better by leveraging technology. But that's necessarily change, and we're moving some people's cheese. In your mind's eye, what are you doing to make that change management easier and more consumable for your users as you continue to progress this technology rollout?
I'm always looking for answers to this question, but really it's getting our team involved so that they have insight into the solution. And then, from my perspective, I kind of have a service mentality of leadership. So when I'm talking to my team, it's not like, hey, do this because I say to do it this way. It's like I listen to their pain points and I create solutions around those pain points, and then introduce it to them, saying, hey, these are the ways that we're looking to speed up your processing, remove administrative tasks that you don't really like doing, right, through automation. But ultimately trying to get them as much as we can involved in the solution so that they have buy-in to that solution, because ultimately you're going to need them to test the system that you built for them, and then always feel free to give you feedback so that they're in a safe space where you're not going to be like, oh, don't make excuses, do it this way. But it's like, okay, I hear you, right? Let's see what we can do to improve the process to make it faster and better for you, right? And ultimately, big picture, you've got to create that synergy, if you will, or that company culture where people are feel free to be able to provide feedback, and nobody's feelings are going to get hurt if your idea wasn't a good one or it didn't execute as you might have envisioned it to do so.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I think putting a safe environment for people to be freely and willingly sharing their perspectives is important here. So it sounds like you've got some of that going on. So let's circle back to your decision on Salesforce. You'd made that decision for Salesforce, and you had a partner that you were working with. Clearly, we were not there first. Shame on us for not having marketed ourselves to you sooner. But can you walk us through, what led to parting ways with the initial partner, and maybe more importantly for this audience, why you selected Ascendix? What was the background, the DNA strands that you saw in us that felt would allow us to help more successfully see this project through?
Yeah, so our original partner, they were a great partner, and they were referred over to us. Very technically smart with Salesforce, was able to, listen to the vision that I had and help me create structure around that vision to ultimately start that build. What anyone will find out, building software, it's going to take longer, and it's going to take a little bit more money than you might have wanted to think about in the beginning. But if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But the fact of the matter is, it's not easy, but it creates, a lot of opportunities to differentiate yourself from your competition. The reason that we ended up parting ways with our original developer, and they were a great developer, a lot of knowledge about Salesforce, and they were able to help me take my vision and build structure around it so that we could start that build. Their business model had began to change where they were focusing on different aspects of what they were wanting to create. Some of that was creating different applications and whatnot. So they had spoken with me and said, hey, we want to kind of change how we're doing business. And I said, hey, we also, it's taking longer than we expected. We're going to also need a little bit more horsepower in regards to building what we need to build, or more manpower. So we decided, it's a good time to potentially look at other opportunities. Lucky for us, Ascendix had reached out to one of our partners and said, hey, we specialize in commercial real estate, commercial lending, and we're a Salesforce developer. We think we'd be a great resource for you. So I had saved that email or it was sent over to me, and I'd saved that email and flagged it. And when I heard that ultimately I'm just going to need a new Salesforce developer, I had reached out and spoken with yourself, Wes, which was fantastic. I learned that you're from Dallas. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, so that was an easy conversation. It was ultimately, as I started to inform you about what we were wanting to accomplish and listening to what your guys' experience was, it just seemed like, oh, well, this is kind of a layup relationship, if you will. This could be really good. One other aspect I really liked is you had local support in Dallas, and you also built out a team throughout Europe. And personally, we use our website is developed out of the Philippines, and I'm used to working with international teams and understand the opportunity to stretch your dollar a little bit and get great work, but at a more favorable cost to the business. So ultimately, we joined forces, and you introduced me to your initial team, and we started getting to work. And it was kind of the first month's always a test phase of getting everybody brought up to speed. But the team asked great questions. I could tell that they were very proficient, and we started having a lot of fun working with each other and knocking down the different challenges that we were identifying to ultimately build a faster and more efficient tech stack. So
I remember, Revel, it was this time last year, I was making phone calls to you from our offices over in Europe. And that was the day that you said, hey, I got the green light, let's go forward. And that's literally almost a year to the day. It's kind of a interesting thing that we have this interview scheduled for that date there, but I remember very distinctly having that call.
I know time flies when you're so busy, but
yeah. It's interesting. As you know, we've built a product on top of the Salesforce platform called the Ascendix RE for Capital Markets. But when we arrived into discussions with you, it was clear that you had already moved in a really progressive way in your own direction on the platform. And I think it's really great for us to be able to pivot and change the hat that we're wearing from being a product provider to going back to our old days of just simply being a CRM consultancy. But when you learn as you develop these products, a lot of the lessons that you're learning in building your product, and I'm hopeful, and it sounds like you're echoing this, that some of that journey that we've been on has been highly leverageable for you, not necessarily as a product, although there is derivative products that you're using, but moreover, just as an advisor and a consultancy on the Salesforce platform that happens to be deeply immersed in the commercial real estate sector.
Yeah, I would say not only do you guys build solutions for me, but I'm constantly in communication with our developers to ask questions, it's Salesforce support continuously. And we have two aspects that we work with you guys. One on the marketing front, advising us on our Pardot marketing platform, but also, Salesforce Conga templates that we're utilizing to action documents that are being, all of our information is merging into those documents. So I do my best on a regular basis to try to stump your team. And if they don't know the answer, right, within about 24 hours, they come back and we've done the research, we've got the answer for you. And we'll create an actionable plan around that. So, we've got it down to a nice rhythm. It's very easy to communicate. There's always a quick response. And sometimes I get a response and I'm like, what time is it in their world, and are they still
Mhm.
working? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's it's really it's been a lot of fun. We've made so much progress, and I can't wait to see really the fruits of our labor.
Yeah. Well, without revealing quote unquote secret sauce there, perhaps there are some major milestones that you can convey to the team, to the audience here, as to what you've accomplished in this journey, and that it's been a journey. These projects never are not, one and done. There's an evolution to them. If there were maybe one or two things that you're most proud of having accomplished in this journey, whether that be with us on your own or otherwise, maybe you could share that with the audience here.
Yeah, I mean, the first aspect of our business is we want to be able to let people know that we exist, right? I mean, obviously, we can solve different commercial lending challenges, leveraging private money and our knowledge and our network of lenders. So that's that's one of our biggest challenges in the beginning, is to make sure that people know we exist. So we have our own database of clients. Well, we need to make sure that we're marketing to them so that they know the services that we provide. They can see the loans that we're funding. And then we remind them that, hey, if you have a commercial lending challenge, reach out to us. We're your advisor. So one of the first things was to create great content that goes out to our current database of clients. And the other aspect is to start to leverage, social media and email marketing to reach out to new prospects and ultimately bring them into our business so that we can introduce ourselves, become known to them, become liked by them, and ultimately become trusted by them, right? So with that, we built that application within Pardot and ultimately automated the lead generating process that comes in and introduces those leads and auto assigns them to different loan officers within our organization. So it's a constant process of automation where lead comes in, is handed off to a loan officer. We've automated the process of teeing up a phone call for the loan officer where they can then click to dial within the system and reach out to that person with the opportunity to engage with them and have a good wholesome conversation with the new person, right? After that, we've automated the process of following up with that person, providing them resources of who we are, what we do, why we do it. Ultimately, our goal is to, with some of these features, is to automate the administrative tasks that, kind of look at it like, tipping dominoes over, but you're manually having to tip each domino over, right? Rather than tipping one domino and it runs to a certain stop point where it needs input from the user again. Right? We want to take as much administrative tasks that really no human likes to do off their plate so they can spend more time being humans and connecting and engaging with other humans, right? And when we do that in a really good way, we have great conversations. We're able to uncover challenges that we can solve and ultimately drive more business. So that's a really, it's easier said than done. But when it's working and when you overcome all the challenges associated with that, it's really something that's quite impressive.
Yeah.
And then there's another aspect of our tech stack is the ability to, securely transfer information between us and our clients. So we've created a digital loan application. We use a program called Community to do that, right? And that allows us to securely ask for information from our borrowing clients, any financial documents that need to be protected. Right? So we can securely bring those into our system and then ultimately quickly extract that information, underwrite the loan in-house, and then introduce that loan through a what we call a loan summary, which takes all the documents and all the data points of those documents and ultimately does all the homework that a lender would want to do if they had a new loan on their desk. So by doing that in-house and introducing that to multiple lenders that have an appetite for that type of deal, we can quickly get a yes or a no from our lending partners if they can do the deal and get a quote so that we can offer multiple quotes back to our client and give them options. And that's a really neat process for them, because if you've ever been in a loan scenario and you've applied with one bank, well, in that scenario, it might take you 4 to 6 weeks to learn that you're not going to get the loan that you're looking for. So you went through all this process of uploading all this information, working with your banker to ultimately get told no, right? Well, 4 to
Right.
6 weeks, that's a long time. It's a lot of work to get told. No, we can get that time down into at least 1 week because of the relationships we have with our lending partners. So it saves our clients a lot of heartache, a lot of headaches, and ultimately gives them options. And when they have
Yeah.
options, they can choose a loan that's best suited for them.
Wow. There's a lot going on there. And, one of the things that we've tried to instill in each of our implementations is always focus on the end user here and making their lives easier. And the question that I have to ask is, why wouldn't someone want to use this? You've automated a lot of the marketing up front. People talk a big game there, but very few want to actually make the investment and put in the work like you've done. So you've knocked that ball out of the park there. And then you've got all the automation. You use the word automation about 10 times as you're going through this. And I think that's what I like to call broker candy, or what's in it for me, whiffum factors, that we always want to have laced into our conversations as we evangelize this, to have people really see that we're not just training you on a new tool, we're actually transforming the way that you do business with you in mind, that you're working hard, not working harder, but smarter in doing the job here. And then that last piece about being able to digitize the experience that you have with these folks that are outside of the firm that you're doing business with, the loan application process, and being able to take what was traditionally been analog and or relegated to email and attachments and forms being filled out. There's, I think, a lot that you've got on that front to not only speed up and expedite that process, but other things that are feedback loops that in the past have been slow burn, and because they're manual and slow, you sometimes make bad decisions, or at least on dated information, or you're trying to close that loop so you can react much more quickly to the data as it changes over time.
Well, I think any business has typically a process of refinement to improve. The challenge is when you're doing it outside of software, it can be very slow, right? And there's no system to create guardrails and or repeatable processes that have metrics around, so that you can see, are we speeding up? Are we slowing down? Where are we getting stuck, right? How can we refine that process to move faster? But absolutely, the whole idea is to continuously have that feedback loop and continuously refine that software so it's more efficient, right?
Yeah.
And that takes time. It can be a little bit frustrating for people when they first get the version 1 compared to version 10. But I think we can all think about our iPhones on version 1 compared to what we have now with our iPhones. And that didn't come overnight. That was a lot of hard work from a lot of developers. But the things our smartphones can do now compared to what they used to be able to do, I look at that and I think, where are we going to be in 10 years? How refined will this process be? How much automation will we have built into it? But we definitely have the blueprint and the opportunity to achieve that goal based on what we've built.
Well, Revel, you've accomplished a lot, and I have to say, just you are a big part of this. I talk with a lot of people, and it's the people within the firm and their vision. Do they have it or do they not? And do they have the intestinal fortitude to see that vision to reality? And it's been a pleasure working with you on this, and the success that we've had together is in no small part due to your efforts there. I appreciate your partnership. Accomplished a lot, but there's still things that you want to accomplish. Maybe without, again, disclosing too much, maybe share what you see on the horizon with regards to your future investments in technology.
Yeah, I think, for us, we're based out of San Diego, California. We just opened an office in Scottsdale. We've got an office up in Orange County, and we've got, we're starting an office in Michigan as well. But when I look at our future vision, I know that ultimately about 30% of commercial loans get funded, right? So there's 70% of people that are trying to get money that they can't find the right lender to ultimately provide them the money to support their business or support their real estate investment goals, right? So that means, to me, there's a lot of pain in the market, right? People are getting turned down, and they ultimately are stumbling through this process, and they don't ultimately know where to go. Well, we receive a lot of our referrals coming actually from lenders that work with us because we introduce business to them. And we're a soft turn down for their clients that they know it's a good client. They know it's a good business. Their credit department doesn't have an appetite for the deal. So they introduce them to us. So yeah, Wes, when we look at the future of what we're wanting to accomplish, one of the things that we look at is pain in the marketplace. And we know about 30% of commercial loans are funded. That means there's 70% that are not. Those clients obviously are feeling defeated or frustrated when they aren't getting the capital they need to support their business or their real estate investment goals. So with that pain, and we provide a solution to help those borrowers find the right lender to get the right loan, right? And we also help our lending partners receive business that they might not have known about, or that client would have never known about that lender, right? So for us, it's really to refine our current process. We have an office here in San Diego. We just opened one in Scottsdale. We've got one in Orange County, and we're opening one in the beginnings of one in Michigan. But it's to refine our current process with marketing, driving in new business to our loan officers, supporting the loan officer to package up the deal, develop and underwrite the deal, introduce that to our lending partners efficiently, so that when our lending partners receive that information, they know it's very trustworthy. They know that they can depend on it to give us a quick quote back. When we've perfected that at our smaller size, really my goal is to scale the operation and provide this solution to more cities. So I know you're based out of Dallas. I think that would be a great market for us. We'd love to be working in your backyard. But ultimately, we know that there's pain in the market. We solve for that pain. We're marketing to that pain. It's bringing in the lead volume so that we can ultimately serve those clients and do a really good job for them.
Yeah.
At some point in time, that's really our goal is growth.
Yeah. Well, going back to that question I mentioned earlier about ROI, I think the word scale comes to mind. I don't think that your aspirations are high. And I think if you try to think about doing this without technology, you just simply can't scale, at least not very quickly. And I think that's done by eradicating or removing the inefficiencies in the organization, increasing the accuracy of the data and getting a higher use of it by turning it into just not data collection, but business intelligence. And at that point, you've now obviously got champions in the organization that are starting to leverage this. I think that's all fantastic. So in closing, you've learned a lot of lessons along the way, I'm sure. And perhaps for those that are listening in, you might be able to provide them some takeaways, top 3 lessons that you learned, or pro tips, if you will, that you could provide to the audience that when they're considering implementing technology, whether it be in capital markets or mortgage brokerage or banking. Some universal, pro tips and lessons that you learned would be great.
Yeah, one would be it's going to take a little longer than you want it to, right? And you don't know what you don't know, and really until you know it. So it's kind of like driving down the freeway. You can only see so far ahead of yourself, and as you get to the horizon, you get to see all the new challenges in front of you, all the new hurdles that you just could not know that they were going to be there based on your current level of development and where you were within that development journey. So having patience is key. Continuously just putting one foot in front of the others and working through challenges. And it's kind of funny. You'll come up against something that just stumps you, and you'll have to kind of chew on that challenge and talk about it, with your team or whatever, to ultimately find a solution. Even the first rendition of the solution might not be the end solution, but you will get there, right? And then once you build the solution, you've got to go test the solution. So I guess my biggest pro tip is make sure everyone in the organization understands that this is not going to be an easy task, but it is one that is very worthwhile. There's a lot of organizations that are going through this process to improve their business, and it's going to, at some point in time, exponentially help them do their business faster and better. So in my opinion, if you're not taking this necessary step, you're really going to be behind the development curve and not be able to compete with some of your competitors that are putting these strategies in play.
Right.
So again, set the right expectation with your team. Be patient and make sure everyone really has a growth mindset so that they can provide feedback and be part of the solution, and not part of the problem. Like, for example, if the system didn't work perfectly in rendition 1, where they throw their hands up in the air and they're like, "Oh, it's broken. It'll never work." Right? It's like, we identified a challenge. Let's fix it. Boom. Let's move forward.
Yeah. I love that. Setting expectations is key. I think also setting very clear goals of what you want to accomplish and getting alignment all up and down the organization, and that there will be challenges. And if you're not aligned and you don't have that clear vision of what you're trying to accomplish, those ebbs and flows, those valleys can end up becoming skirmish points there that end up stall, if not killing the project. And so you can always lean on the alignment and, hey, the clear, hey, this is all worth fighting for. We knew this wasn't going to be a quick win, and being able to have that, as I called it, the intestinal fortitude to see through those valleys that you can get to the peak. So I just echo everything you said there.
I
Go ahead.
I will add one more thing to that too, which is oftentimes you might want to change the goalpost, if you will. Right. So you have the idea of what you want in mind,
right,
and you build to that, and then halfway through the build, you change, right? And that for a developer can be hell, right? So you really want to, if you're building something, it's like the old idea of, measure twice and cut once,
right?
So that you can really think through what you want to build and then build to that. And you can always make changes in adaptations. But we, in our scenario, we changed something mid-build that ultimately changed about how 30% of the logic of the system worked for us, and it really derailed us for a good 6 to 8 months of having to deconstruct, to reconstruct, to make ultimately a better solution. And arguably, it is a better solution, but it was a painful lesson to learn, for sure.
Yeah. So have a general heading, but also be willing to swallow some pride and perhaps some energy to course correct if you see data is telling you to do something differently.